Have you ever stopped to think how far someone might go in search of sustenance or a good paycheck? While many people work in offices, shops, or schools, there are professions where risking one's life is part of the daily routine. Jobs so dangerous that a single mistake can be fatal. Now we can get to know some of the most perilous professions in the world, activities that demand courage, endurance, and often a touch of madness. That is exactly what we are going to see here today. The job of changing light bulbs on very tall towers is unusual and can be well compensated, especially because of the risks involved. These professionals are responsible for replacing bulbs on telecommunications or transmission towers that can reach heights of up to 450 meters. The bulbs, generally red, are essential to signal the presence of the towers to aircraft, preventing accidents. A notable example is Kevin Schmidt, who performs this task in the United States. He climbs towers of 450 meters twice a year to change the bulbs and earns approximately $45,692 per year. The activity is extremely dangerous, requiring the professional to scale the tower using safety equipment such as a harness and a fall arrest device. In addition, it is necessary to have excellent physical conditioning, no fear of heights, and specific training for working at heights. The work of a sulfur miner is extremely dangerous and harmful to health. A notable example is the sulfur mining at the Iyan volcano in Indonesia, where workers face extreme conditions to extract the so-called devil's gold. The miners descend into the crater of an active volcano, exposed to toxic gases such as sulfur dioxide, which can cause serious damage to the lungs and eyes. Without proper protective equipment, many use only wet cloths over their faces to try to filter the contaminated air. In addition, they carry manually between 68 and 90 kilograms of sulfur in baskets, climbing steep slopes twice a day. This excruciating routine contributes to a reduced life expectancy, with many not living beyond 50 years. Despite the risks, sulfur mining is one of the few employment options in the region and offers relatively better pay compared to other local occupations. The global sulfur industry is significant, with most production coming as a byproduct of petroleum and natural gas refining. The global sulfur market is valued in the billions of dollars and is used in various products such as fertilizers, detergents, cosmetics, and in the sugar industry. The job of working on offshore platforms is known for offering attractive salaries, but it also involves significant risks to workers' health and safety. Salaries vary according to position, experience, and hiring company, but on average, they yield a good monthly and annual amount to workers. Furthermore, offshore workers are entitled to a 30% hazard pay over the base salary due to exposure to flammable substances and other risks. Working on offshore platforms presents several hazards that begin from the trip to the platform, which is made by helicopter, subject to adverse weather conditions and possible accidents during takeoffs and landings. There are also risks of fires, explosions, and leaks of toxic substances, requiring rigorous safety protocols. Another factor is constant exposure to intense noise, vibrations, and chemicals, which can lead to hearing problems, sleep disorders, and other health complications. Finally, prolonged confinement and distance from family can negatively impact workers' mental health. Although working on offshore platforms offers attractive compensation and benefits, it is essential to be aware of the many risks involved, as we can see above. The work of salt producers, especially in India, is extremely arduous and dangerous. Although the country is one of the largest salt producers in the world, workers involved in this activity face precarious labor conditions and serious health risks. Salt production in India is predominantly manual and occurs in specific regions. The workers, known as agarias, face numerous challenges. The intense reflection of sunlight on saline surfaces, for example, can cause serious eye problems, including cataracts and partial or total loss of vision. Studies indicate that the life expectancy of these workers is around 60 years due to the adverse conditions to which they are constantly exposed. Frequent contact with brine and salt crystals can cause dermatitis, cracks, and other skin diseases. In addition, working under high temperatures, often without adequate access to hydration, increases the risk of kidney diseases, heat exhaustion, and other health complications. India is among the largest salt producers on the planet, with states such as Gujarat being responsible for about 70% of national production. However, despite the industry contributing significantly to the country's economy, the benefits of this production are not distributed fairly. The workers who sustain this production chain remain poorly paid and exposed to extremely precarious working conditions. Crab fishing in the Bering Sea in Alaska is widely recognized as one of the most dangerous professions in the world. This activity requires fishermen to face extreme weather conditions, exhausting workdays, and constant hazards to catch king crabs and snow crabs, species highly valued on the market. During winter, fishermen face temperatures that can reach -30 degrees Celsius and waves up to 12 meters, which makes the job extremely dangerous. Crabs are caught using iron cages that can weigh up to 200 kilograms. Due to the sea's instability, these cages represent an additional risk, as they can strike fishermen during hauling operations. In the United States, this profession is considered the most perilous, with more than 300 deaths per 100,000 inhabitants, mainly due to drowning and hypothermia when fishermen are swept off the deck by giant waves. Despite the risks, crab fishing in Alaska can be highly lucrative. During the short fishing season, which lasts 1 to 2 months, experienced fishermen can earn up to $100,000, depending on the quantity of crabs caught. The reality of this profession was widely publicized by the television program Deadliest Catch, broadcast by the Discovery Channel since 2005. The program documents the dangerous voyages of fishermen in the Bering Sea, highlighting the challenges these crews face in search of valuable crustaceans. The profession of honey collector in Nepal is one of the most dangerous in the world, involving extreme risks and an ancestral tradition that is at risk of disappearing. The so-called mad honey is produced by the Himalayan giant honeybee, the largest bee species in the world. This honey contains granotoxins, psychoactive substances derived from the nectar of certain flowers, which can cause varied effects from euphoria and dizziness to hallucinations, intense vomiting, and, in severe cases, convulsions, and even death. The collection is carried out by members of the indigenous Gurung and Kulung communities, who climb cliffs of up to 100 meters using ladders made of bamboo rope and artisanally braided ropes. Without protective equipment, these collectors face swarms of aggressive bees, enduring multiple stings while using smoke to drive them away, and harvest the combs with long bamboo poles. Any mistake can be fatal. This practice, which has existed for centuries, has deep spiritual meaning. Before the harvest, sacred rituals are performed. The activity is passed down from generation to generation, being considered a sacred art by local peoples. The increase in demand for mad honey, especially in Asia, has led to rampant commercial exploitation, which threatens the sustainability of this traditional practice. In short, honey collection in Nepal is a profession that combines courage, tradition, and spirituality, but that faces enormous challenges that put its continuity at risk. Asai collection in the Amazon region is one of the most dangerous activities in Brazil, exposing workers, known as peconheiros, to numerous physical, environmental, and ergonomic risks. Peconheiros climb Asai palm trees, called asaizeiros, which can exceed 20 meters in height, often without any kind of safety equipment. The trunk can be weakened by pests, rot, or moisture, which exponentially increases the risk of serious or fatal falls. During the climb, workers are also vulnerable to stings from bees, wasps, spiders, scorpions, and even bites from snakes. In addition, birds that build nests in the palm's crowns can attack to protect their chicks. The activity requires intense physical effort, with repeated climbs and transport of heavy loads, which can cause repetitive strain injuries, muscle strains, and sprains. Research indicates that 89% of workers or their relatives have already suffered some type of accident during Asai collection. In 54% of these cases, hospitalization was necessary, and 62% required work absence for periods ranging from 10 to 60 days, which clearly evidences the degree of risk involved in the profession. Limestone extraction is one of the most dangerous activities in the mining sector, exposing workers to various physical, chemical, and ergonomic risks. Despite its economic importance, especially in the production of cement and agricultural lime, this activity poses significant health and safety challenges to workers. During drilling, crushing, and transporting limestone, a huge amount of dust is generated. This dust often contains crystalline silica particles, whose prolonged inhalation is associated with the development of silicosis, a serious, progressive, congestive and irreversible lung disease. In addition, workers are exposed to accidents caused by miscalculated explosions, rockfalls, landslides, and mechanical failures in heavy equipment. Continuous exposure to intense noise from crushers and drills can cause permanent hearing loss and neurological disorders. Therefore, although limestone extraction is essential for various sectors of the global economy, it represents serious risks to the health and physical integrity of the professionals involved, being, therefore, considered one of the most dangerous occupations in the world. The profession of lighthouse keeper, also known as lighthouse technician or nautical signaling technician, is marked by isolation, physical risks, and a demanding routine. Despite its historical importance in navigational safety, it is an occupation that is gradually disappearing due to the automation of lighthouses. Keepers often spend long periods in remote locations, such as isolated islands or rocky promontories. For example, at Ilha Raça Lighthouse, located in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, professionals remain for up to 87 days consecutively without returning to the city, having external contact only through occasional supply visits. The routine of these workers includes tasks such as equipment maintenance, cleaning, gardening, and meal preparation. Working in lighthouses exposes professionals to severe weather conditions, such as storms and rough seas, which hinder access and increase the risk of accidents. Being a lighthouse keeper is an occupation that requires emotional resilience, discipline, dedication, and courage to face loneliness and the dangers of the maritime environment. Although it is becoming rare, this profession continues to be essential for navigational safety in places where human presence is still irreplaceable. In addition, it is usually well paid. The work of landmine demining is widely recognized as one of the most dangerous and delicate professions in the world. These professionals face extreme risks daily by dealing with explosive devices buried, often hidden for years, in areas difficult to access and under adverse conditions. Despite technological advances in demining, the risk of accidental explosions is still extremely high. In the last 6 years, about 500 deminers have lost their lives during mine removal operations. These lethal devices are usually located in terrains with complex access, such as dense forests, deserts, mountainous areas, or war-torn urban zones, which makes the work even more dangerous. Heavy rains, scorching heat, or extreme cold can affect sensors and visibility, compromising the safety of operations. The work of deminers is essential for the safety and reconstruction of regions affected by armed conflicts. Despite the extreme risks, these professionals play a fundamental role in restoring peace and protecting human lives. The profession of high-voltage electrician is among the most dangerous in the world, requiring advanced technical skills, constant attention, and strict compliance with safety regulations. These professionals work with voltages above 1,000 volts in alternating current, which represents high risks to health and life. Direct or indirect contact with energized circuits can cause very serious injuries such as third-degree burns, muscle damage, neurological impairment, and even cardiac arrest. Equipment failures or human errors can also generate electrical arcs, which release intense heat and extreme brightness, potentially causing explosions. Many electricians work on elevated towers and poles, often under unfavorable weather conditions, such as strong winds and rain, which significantly increases the risk of falls and accidents. Regulatory Standard Number 10 officially recognizes work with high-voltage electricity as a hazardous activity, ensuring professionals a 30% hazard pay over the base salary. The work of journalists who operate in war zones is one of the most dangerous, courageous, and challenging professions in the world. These professionals face very high risks while gathering information in areas devastated by armed conflicts. Constant exposure to gunfire, bombings, and clashes puts reporters in real danger of being injured or killed. In addition, many journalists risk kidnapping by armed groups or imprisonment by local authorities in authoritarian regimes. The scarcity of food, drinking water, electricity, and medicines is another recurring challenge in conflict zones, such as the Gaza Strip, making the work even more difficult. The number of journalists killed in war zones has increased considerably. In 2024, 68 journalists were murdered, with more than 60% of these deaths occurring in countries experiencing war or humanitarian crisis. Despite all these dangers, many journalists continue to perform this vital role, ensuring that the world is informed about the horrors of armed conflicts and giving a voice to the victims of violence. It is a high-risk mission but of inestimable importance. Saturation diving is widely recognized as one of the most dangerous, demanding, and technical professions in the world. These professionals play a crucial role in maintaining underwater infrastructures, especially in the oil and gas industry, carrying out complex tasks at depths that can exceed 300 meters. Saturation divers face numerous dangers, among them decompression sickness, which results from gas bubbles forming in body tissues during ascent and can cause intense pain, paralysis, and even death. There is also the risk of failure in life support systems, such as diving equipment and pressurized habitats, without which survival is impossible. Furthermore, the underwater environment is completely hostile. Almost zero visibility, strong currents, extremely low temperatures, and intense pressure make each mission a true challenge. Despite the high risks, saturation diving is an essential profession for the exploration and maintenance of deep-water structures. Professionals who work in this area are highly trained and generally well-paid, being recognized for their courage, physical and mental preparation, and extreme dedication. Don't forget to subscribe so you can watch more videos like this.